Have you felt overwhelmed by all the things that you should be doing for any area of life, talking business, fitness, wealth, any of the stuff? And if it's not even just feeling overwhelmed, more of just, do you have this long ass to do list of all of these things that you know you should do? And it's just all of these things that you see other people do, and you just think, there's got to be a different way. Well, I'm here to bring you a different approach because I am doing that right now. If you don't know me, if you're new here, my name is Nick Lee. I am a strength coach, a high performance coach, and I'm going to take all of the lessons that I've learned from being an athlete and being a strength coach and how you can apply these things to different areas of your life so that maybe you're not so overwhelmed. Maybe you don't have a 100-item laundry list of things to do, and you get to do a couple things in each area of life and enjoy your time just a little bit more. Now, what I'm talking about here is creating a life, creating areas of your life so that you can have something that is sustainable, sustainability, being able to do all of these things. Hi, Mazi. Being able to do all of these things so that you can have a life that you enjoy. Case in point, my kids are napping. My dog just came up here. I get to pet my dog. I get to do this in the middle of the day when it's nice out, a random nice day in the Midwest in the almost spring. So how can you build a life that is sustainable, that you like, that aligns with you and your values? And point number one here is going to be a little bit counterintuitive, and that point is going to be just do less. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people who say you have to take action, and do all of these things. But what if you actually just did less and did the bare necessity and the 20% that gets you 80% of the results? What if you just did that 20% instead of trying to do all of everything all of the time? So when I'm talking do less, it's just do the important stuff and then have the ability to move on to the other areas of life which you want to work on. Another reason I say do less is to create something that is sustainable for you. Never mind what everybody else is doing. Never mind what everybody else thinks. Something that is sustainable for you might just be do less. Case in point, I am here talking to you on YouTube. When 2026 started, I vowed to myself to create one YouTube video every week for the year of 2026. When the year was starting, I wanted to create two. I wanted to get to 100 videos in 1 year. But I knew from previous content creation, when I'm in that grind, I hit burnout. I hit a wall and I don't want to do anymore and I just stop. So instead of trying to push through and say, I need to get 100 videos in 1 year, I was like, there's 52 weeks in a year. I'm going to make one video per week. It is less volume of work. It is doing less. But I know that number, that scale, is a much more sustainable amount of work for me personally. So that is what I'm sticking to, especially since I've never done YouTube before. I've done a lot of short form stuff, but not doing YouTube. I was like, one video per week, I can do that. And I can do it in a way that is sustainable and doesn't just drain me of all of my life because I have a family and other things to attend to throughout my day, throughout my week. So when we're talking do less, it is one, don't do all the stupid little things right away when you think I have to do all these things instantly because I don't have anything figured out. That just creates you doing so many things that aren't productive towards what you want. The other way is you need to do an amount of things that is less than what you think you could do so that it is sustainable right away. You want to be able to sustain that amount of work, build a system around it so that you can build off of that system, off of that amount of work if it's something that you want to pursue later on. That little point kind of leads me into my second point here, and that's going to be talking about if you're going to do something, plan to do it for at least 1 year. Now, I know, like when you say that and when you're going to start something, it seems like a really long time. I have to do this whole thing for a year. And like I said, I committed to doing YouTube for a year. And I really think that if you're going to commit to doing something, you need to commit to it long term. All we see now is on social media and scrolling your feed, all you see is people saying, make $1 million in a month. You can make $10,000 per month in the next 90 days. You can do this in 3 months. You can do this in 6 months. You can blah, 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 blah. Right? It's the message that we all hear all the freaking time. But if it's something that you're going to truly enjoy and something that's going to fill you up instead of drain you, commit to a year and find out if that thing is really for you. Okay. Like I said, I'm doing YouTube for a year. What is something else that I've done where I committed to an entire year and it is now part of my life? That one thing that comes off the top of my head is playing guitar. When I first started playing guitar, it was 10 years ago, 2016. I said, I need to play this thing every day for a single year. I didn't care if it was 2 minutes. I didn't care if it was 2 hours. I just had to play. There were some days where fighting to get that 2 minutes was tough. I had to pick it up. I sucked, and plucking around the guitar was just terrible. But then there were days when you get into a little bit of flow, and 2 hours goes by like that. And after a year of playing every single day, I was a pretty decent guitar player. And then I did it again for a second year. And now I can just pick up something and look at the chords, and I can play just about any song that I want to. And that's because I stuck with it. And after 1 year, it was something that I was like, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to be a guitar player. So I stuck with it, and now I'm pretty well versed. And then let me give you an example of the opposite. Okay. I have done little stints of TikTok and short form stuff where I'm saying I have to create 3 per day for 100 days or 3 per day for a month. And I understand that building that habit takes 21 days, people say, but sometimes it's a little longer than that. And I have done that. I did 3 per day, 3 TikToks per day for I think it got to 73 days. And I was drained. I made it through the first month, which is what I originally committed to. I was like, shit, might as well just go to 100 days. I made it to day 73. And I'm telling you, I was drained. It was awful. And I hated every second of it, especially once we got past day 50. It was terrible. And that is something where I failed. I was like, I can't sustain this level of activity per day forever. Because I know that when you start doing content creation, you want to build a business, you want to do all these things, it is something that you have to do continually for a long period of time. And I was just like, 3 per day is not for me. Okay, so that's something where I may have failed, or somewhere where I overshot what I was going to do. So if you're going to do something, plan it out for an entire year. What is a level of activity, of sustenance that you can take for an entire year, and then stick with it and see what happens after a year? And understand, yes, it's daunting a little bit. I am just barely ahead of you. It is only March, and I started this in January. And I understand that there's so much time to make video after video after video and get to the end of the year. However, I will say doing one longer form video per week has been a lot more fulfilling and a lot more sustainable than doing 3 TikToks per day, every day for however long. And so that might be something I stick with and something that I like to do and try to help build my business or build whatever online after a year. Another little side note when it comes to levels of activity, and you see all these people who are reaching these super high levels, just please understand when they started, they weren't doing that. All right. And if they were doing that, they didn't have the family, they didn't have the job, they didn't have all of the things that you need to go through on a day-to-day basis. So give yourself some grace, stick to one little action, one little thing at a time, and you will build a lot faster rather than trying to create a sprint and then dying out at the end. And the last tip, when it talks about building something sustainable. Now, I've talked about do less, you want the little actions, commit to a year. And then throughout that year, I want the frequency of whatever you're doing to be daily. Now, I understand I said do less, but how can you make that daily action be less per day than if it is 1 or 2 times per week, and then you have to spend 3 to 4 hours doing something? So if we look at strength and conditioning, and we look at building strength, building skills within a sport, building anything physical, if you take a look at research, the frequency at which you do something is more important than the intensity of doing something less frequently. So instead of doing that intense 1 or 2 days of trying something out, building something, I want you to think about how you can break it up into daily tasks so that whatever I'm doing, I'm spending a little bit per day on this thing. As I mentioned, I did guitar, and my baseline was like 5 minutes of guitar per day, 2 to 5 minutes of guitar per day. I hit that. And that was my daily intake. Obviously, like I said, you're going to have days where you find the flow and you spend more time on that. But that's just a bonus. That's not required of me to do. When it comes to this YouTube thing, I have to spend a little bit at least just thinking about video ideas or watching some YouTube videos just to get ideas in the area of what I want to become, to see what I like, what I don't like, and things that I can apply to my own YouTube channel. So for you, it's going to be whatever feels right to you. It's going to be a little bit of action, but it's going to be every single day, because your frequency is going to beat your intensity every single day of the week. Never mind the pun, because I said to do it every single day. All right. But I want you to do something daily that is super manageable with the amount of time that you have, right? Like I have mentioned before, and I know I keep saying this, I have a family with 4 little kids. We don't do daycare. We flip flop who takes care of the kids. We both have jobs, and we both want to be able to train and do something physical. There's so many things pulling us in different directions that how much time do we actually have to do something, right? Some days you might get a couple hours, but most days it's less than an hour. And that's me talking to you right now. So find what that little bit of action is, find that time slot. And during that time slot, could be 5 minutes, doesn't even have to be 30 minutes or an hour. Find that 5 minutes and apply yourself to whatever you want to become. You want to do YouTuber, do YouTube. You want to do TikTok, learn about short form content. If you want to do fitness, think about how I can use 5 minutes of my time. I can do 5 minutes of push-ups, 5 minutes of burpees. I can go walk for 5 minutes outside if it's nice, right? You can do small daily actions. You do those daily actions, the frequency helps build the consistency and the habit. And then all of a sudden, after an entire year of doing small little actions, you are way further along than if you did one intense session per week for the entire year. Find that little bit of action, do it every single day, hold yourself accountable, and be able to build something at least for a year, test it out, see if it's something that you like. And even if it is something that you don't like, you can remember the year 2026. I can remember the year 2026. I posted on YouTube every single week. I had 52 videos out there, and I posted on YouTube every single week. I hated every second of it by the end, but I committed to it at the beginning of the year, and I finished at the end of the year. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I'm just talking from my perspective. If it's something that I disliked after the year, I at least did something. I was at least in the arena of posting on YouTube every single week and working on it every single day to figure out if it was something for me or if it wasn't something for me. So at the very least, you get to find out what's not for you. And it's a year of, I tried this thing out and it didn't really work. So now I got to move on to the next thing. So there you have it. A strength coach's, a high performance coach's view on how to create a sustainable life in all areas of life. And that's going to be do less, commit to a year, and take one small action every single day. If you found that this video helped you, I'm super glad. I hope you share it with somebody, see if it can help them too. And if you made it this far, if you like this content, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. And it just goes a long way in telling me that it's something that you're interested in, and you like personal development, and you like my vibe a little bit. And I appreciate you being here. So hope you have a great day. Peace.